My microphone has been muted this entire time. How long was this? Y'all, 13 minutes. I've had multiple people come in and no one told me that my mic was muted. Oh my gosh. I feel like an idiot. Oh, whatever. Sorry. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm creating a bit of a lo-fi ambient patch. What I'm doing is I've created two different transforming patches, two different pads. If you'd like to learn how, check out my series Synthcraft, which I'm doing. But what I'm doing here is something called crossfading. As this pad continues, it gets softer and softer and softer because I'm turning the volume down. And while this pad is getting softer and softer, this pad over here is getting louder and louder. You can do this with synths, you can do this with orchestral instruments, you can do this with percussion, whatever you want to do. This cross-fading quality of one getting louder and one getting softer creates an illusion of a transforming quality of sound. Right? So we've got that going on. Let's add a bit of reverb to this. We'll do a relatively large mix. Let's apply it to this as well. All right, so we've got our nice little ambient little track here. Let's start building a beat, because I feel like this lo-fi thing's going to have some kind of rhythmic element. Let's add another massive X, just simply because it's the synth I know the best. Let's start with our hi-hat. For the hi-hat, we don't need oscillators. We just need a noise filter. A noise generator. That's not how you spell hi-hat. And then we just need a pluck shape. Pluck shape has 0 sustain, immediate attack, relatively short decay. Let's do that. Let's apply a high pass filter. Make this a little short. Add a little bit of a delay. And I'm going to keep it super short. Less than 50 milliseconds, or around 50 milliseconds. So I just create a subtle kind of like thickening effect. Let's get the hear that sound? Subtle difference. Let's create our timekeeper. I'm thinking that would be fun. And let's do 16th note triplets. It's not quite what I wanted. What was it? 30-second notes, maybe? That works. Let's make this, let's add some velocity to it. We'll do this. We'll make this. Here we go. Oh, wait, no, that's why. I was trying to think. Why am I not seeing? Here it is. Velocity on. Attach this to. Let's find our softest. So that's the softest we want. Hey, Serenade for Wins. Welcome, my friend. Let's do this. So now I've just made velocity a little more important for expression in my synth. Let's just repeat this. Let's see here. What's cooking? Nothing much. I'm just doing right now. What I'm working on is I'm creating a little bit of like an ambient beat. Not really my forte, not something I'm really like amazing at, but it's something that felt like fun for me today. I thought it'd be a fun, different thing to work with. So that's what I'm playing around with. So Logic Editor in Cubase is a very powerful tool for just doing a lot of randomizers and a lot of changes to your thing. I use it mostly as a randomizer. It's much more powerful than that. But so if I go to notes velocity, randomize velocity relative minus 10 to plus 10 is a very powerful tool for just adding a slightly more human nature to it. Let's listen to it. Let's filter this out a little bit. You know what? This one also needs a little bit of reverb. Not as much though. Oh, nice. So you've been practicing ambient music. That's awesome. Don't use Cubase. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know what the equivalent are in other DAWs. Just I've always used Cubase personally. When I started out as a composer, Hans Zimmer was a huge source of inspiration, and I didn't know anything about music technology, and I thought, okay, I need whatever that is. And they said it was called a DAW. I was like, okay, what DAW does Hans Zimmer use? And it said Cubase. That's why I bought it. But I have tried Pro Tools. I have tried Logic. I have played a little bit around with, not Albion. What is it? The one that's useful for like electronic music. I am blanking on it. It's been a long day and I haven't had any caffeine, so it's been crazy. Something. I've tried a bunch of different DAWs. Is the moral of the story. Let's make but I like Cubase. Let's make a quick kick, which I like a sine wave. Let's get rid of this. What's going on here? Why can't I hear it? Huh? Well, now I can hear it for some reason. that's why. Gotta get rid of, there we go. Gotta get rid of the frequency. There we go, got my sine wave. Let's build a very simple kick, shall we? Kick, the most basic kick you can have is gonna be a sine wave. You're going to create a pluck shape. We are going to attach an even, I'm gonna lower it down to like a low C. And then I'm going to attach an even shorter pluck shape to the pitch so that it drops an octave to kind of mimic that compression of the air. Let's make that faster. And then we've got a nice kick. We can make this a little dirtier. Let's do something. Let's add just a little bit of distortion, shall we? There we go. I don't like that hi-hat beat. Let's create a new one, shall we? When I want something ambient and weird and morphing, I don't usually go with just a simple 4/4 time. Something I prefer is really hitting that kind of something like an odd meter. A combination of compound. But let's do 16th notes because this is a super slow tempo. I'll treat this. Bring this down. And then I think I still want to do some 32nd notes. Let's see what this sounds like. And then let's repeat it. Shipshin's Kerr. I don't you let's see. I'm sad that I'm at Doomsday. Okay, first, welcome Shipshin Kerr. Doom Squirrel. I'm sad that I'm at work and need to be a fly on the wall, but wanted to say hi. Hope you're having a great week. My pleasure. Awesome. Welcome Doom Squirrel. Thank you very much. I am having a pretty good week. And yeah, I'm just having a little bit of fun messing around in the DAW right now, but I'm happy to make your workday a little less boring. Shipshin Kerr. How do I convert a MIDI track into an instrumental track? I cannot use VSTs after importing a MIDI file. Very, very simple. You're actually not, as far as I know, it's not very easy to import a MIDI track. But let's say that you just did this. This is your MIDI track. All you would do is you would say, all right, awesome. I'm going to make a new VST. And I'm just going to click this. I'm going to drag it over and name this piano sketch. So yeah, you can't really convert it, but you can set it up and just take the data. Does that make sense? Hopefully that helps. At least to my knowledge. Maybe I'm just being stupid, and I've been doing it this way for years, and there was a shortcut. Serenade, I use Reaper. I'll try Cubase someday. I've heard Reaper's pretty good. I've never used Reaper before. But yeah, it's not... There's... Some people would disagree. I've actually had someone disagree to my face about it, but I am still of the opinion that the best DAW is the one you know the best. Because you can always learn another DAW. So the biggest disagreement is, well, no, if you want to get a job with a particular studio and they all use one particular DAW, you should probably be aware of that DAW. Sure. But honestly, what's going to get the attention of that studio is the quality of your music, the quality of your skill, and honestly, your personality too. Your personality plays a big part. No one wants to work with a dick. Be a good, friendly, happy person. Not necessarily happy all the time, but be a friendly person. Someone who contributes to solutions and isn't a source of stress. I've done so many rants on that, but yeah, the best DAW is the one that you understand the best, the one that you're able to do the best. So, but you want to be able to explore and do different things as well. Let's see here. So we got this little beat going that we're playing. And then let's copy and paste this. This entire conversation about Cubase got started because of the logic editor, which I love. Velocities, let's randomize everything just a little bit. See how strict and machine-like everything is here? Pow, there we go, a little more human. Let's take this reverb and reduce the decay time. There we go. So let's take this real quick. Let's give it a little bit of a ramp in. We'll copy this and apply that here as well. We won't really need that because this one starts off soft as it is. And then let's have a full 4 measures before we introduce this. Let's do 2. And let's create a ramp in for this as well. Because I feel like with an ambient track, like an ambient beat, I should say, because it's not a fully ambient track. It's more like an ambient beat. Because there's going to be a rhythmic component. There should be a slow build-in of each individual instrument. Let's find a beat that works well for this, like a nice groove. We got our kick. Let's fix that a little bit. I don't like... I don't like how blatantly obvious that pitch is. Yeah, we'll leave it. Oops. Let's see here. Using this as a guide, let's see. Probably want to have the same rhythmic emphasis in my kick. Wrong octave. Let's actually add, I know what I'll do. Let's add a heavier low end. There we go. Okay, that works well enough. It's not the best thing I've ever made, but I can work with this. Other comments, let's see here. Doom Squirrel, I just bought Reaper, my first DAW, as their complexity tends to make my brain pee itself. And the first installation wouldn't load Contact. I was so sad. Oh, that's a bummer. Does Reaper not work with Contact? Oh no, Serenade for Wind says that it does. Never had a problem. Oh, okay, Doom Squirrel. So you did get it fixed out. Shipshaker, it's hard when I'm using many tracks. Yeah, it sucks. But it's just something that you got to do. There's a reason why lots of composers delegate their MIDI sequencing. So a lot of composers, it will do orchestration in general, but a lot of, if you need to make a really high quality like MIDI mockup, there are people who specialize in that. And lots of composers will just outsource it. They'll say, all right, I want to focus on composing. I don't want to spend all this time tediously working on all this stuff, making tiny little tweaks, because eventually I'm going to do a full-on tutorial for everything that on making sequencing. I'm working on it right now. I've actually got most of the scripts written. So you'll be able to hear that and follow along and learn the skills necessary. I'm sorry, my brain is all fuzzy right now. And you'll be able to follow along and learn all of that really cool stuff. But a lot of people just say, I don't need this. I've got the budget. I'm going to hire someone else to do it. If you don't have the budget, though, then it's a skill that you're just going to have to do. There's going to be a lot of tedious work, and especially with the kind of music you write, Shipshaker, it's just going to be something you're going to have to deal with. Sometimes, usually when I'm setting up like a new template and I know what everything I'm loading and I'm just doing the tedious like loading and converting part, I'll just put a movie on, or I'll watch YouTube videos as I do it. Just something to keep myself from getting distracted. Let's play around with the EQ on this one a little bit. So what I'm doing right now is I'm playing with the kick a little bit, trying to change the sound. Let's mute the kick, or solo the kick so you can hear what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I am playing just the kick. What I did first is I wanted to get rid of some of this buzziness in the upper end, which I know I added distortion. That's the whole point of distortion, is to add some of that buzziness in the upper register, but I don't want that much. And so I want to just carve it out a little bit. Until I get the quality I want there. Then on this, what I did is I found a little peak. I found out where the really heavy part of my bass is. I'm just slowly raising that, making a wide bump to emphasize that. Then something else I can do is I can create a very narrow peak. I can look for sounds that I like. I can broaden it and boost it, or reduce it, or remove it, like this. But I kind of like the little boost here. So this is with EQ, without. It's like a completely different sound, right? Doom Squirrel, well, I don't know why it is. I'm sure ADHD has something to do with it, but I can't seem to work when anything other than drone noises like white or brown noise are playing. That could be. I always like to have a little bit of ambient noise as well. All right, so now what do I want to do? Let's do the actual lo-fi aspect of this now, shall we? Let's create an effect track. Let's create a group track. We'll say lo-fi beat, which it's not really lo-fi beat. This is more like an ambient beat than anything else. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send each of these through my lo-fi beat group track. So then whatever I add to this will be added to all of them. Let's add now, how do I do mix on this? You know what? Instead of doing a group track, since I don't know how to use that effect too well, let's just do... This is a free reverb vinyl by... Is it Native Instruments? Yeah, Native Instruments. And iZotope did this together, which mimics the kind of distortion you would get from a turntable. I'm going to send... Increase this. What else we gotta do? Oh, does that just go continuously? That's annoying. We'll see, we'll see. What else I want to do? Add a bass line, says Shib Shakur. All right, we can do that. Let's create a bass synth, shall we? So the shape of a bass synth. If y'all have been following around with my synth series, we know that one of the first things you want to do is you shape your sound amp envelope based off the type of synth you want. So right now we have just a simple saw wave with some reverb added to it and some heavy freaking EQ. So let's get rid of the EQ because I duplicated the track. And then the shape for a bass is usually no sustain or some sustain, immediate attack, and a bit of a decay. A little bit of release. So now we've got a nice low sound. Let's find a sound that works for us. I like that one. Let's do that one. Let's add... So what I'm doing is I'm using this shape and applying it to this, saying, hey, start out up here and then immediately crank it back down. See? Start up there and immediately crank it back down. Let's drop this an octave. What else should we do? Let's apply a low-pass filter. That works pretty well. Is there anything else I want to do? Let's add a little bit of unison. Nah, that's not right. That's not what I want. Let's try delay. Similar effect in the way that I'm going to use it. To just slightly thicken the sound by dropping the rate lower than 50 milliseconds, so they're almost instantaneous, and dropping the feedback. There we go. Now let's mess around with our EQ a little bit. We got our reverb on. So again, same strategy for the EQ. This is a good strategy just in general. First, start off if it's a low sound. Let's start out by removing some of the upper frequencies or the danger of the upper frequencies with a low pass filter. Basically, that allows everything here to go unpassed. Everything below this yellow line gets filtered out. And then using the same strategy I did earlier, let's actually create a little space for our kick down here. I'm not going to play anything lower than low C, which is right here, 65 hertz. So keeping it below 65 hertz means it won't affect. Well, no, I guess that we're going to want to keep it down to below 35-ish to make room for the sub oscillator as well. So I'm not filtering out too much of the sub oscillator, but I'm going to remove some of those sounds. Then let's create our peak. So one of my favorite ways to add boosts and remove frequencies is that technique I demonstrated earlier, where I make a super thin notch filter. I play around. What do I like? I like this area. I don't like this area so much. So I'm going to drop this -3-ish. I'm going to remove a little bit around here. And since this is a synth, I can be a lot more picky and individualized than I would with a acoustic instrument like a violin, because this would very quickly ruin the sound if I care about realism, that is. And I liked this area. Let's boost this. Let's see how this sounds. Let's create, what's our chord progression? Let's do C major to G minor, which I think sounds very let's keep it a one pair. Let's make this more repetitive. You know what? Let's start off. So what I'm going to do is I'm using the same rhythm as my kick. Quite simply because the kick and the bass drum are supposed to be very related to each other. That's how you create your groove. Oh, we're getting some more stuff. Basscat 111, you put out a series of 4 videos about 4 years ago on film scoring. I'm working on a proof of concept film. I set up a Cubase project based on the concepts in your videos. That's awesome. Thank you. I'm glad it was helpful. I used marker trackers for the columns in your spreadsheet. We had the spotting session with my composer last weekend, and it went really well. Just want to say thank you for those videos. My pleasure. That makes me very happy. I've done a couple series on film scoring that they never got the same amount of attention. I have an entire class about it with the Indie Film Music Contest if you're interested in that. But it was definitely something that I love teaching about. I have a couple students right now I'm working with. So if any of you are ever interested in private lessons, I do private lessons. I have access to a small library of like 8 short films that you can practice with, and I can help you build your portfolio. You can also learn with my new textbook, The Musical Storyteller, 3rd edition, 60 more pages. It's a beefy boy, biggest version yet. And for a limited amount of time, I found a box of 1st editions. Came out in 2021. This is the very first book I ever wrote. I took them off my store once the 2nd edition came out, which was the first really big version. This I came out with in 2021, I think. And I'm selling, if you buy a physical copy from my website, link below, you're going to get a free copy of the 1st edition just because I don't need all of these. I found them. I make wine as a hobby, and I was downstairs getting some of my stuff for my latest batch of wine. And I found this box down there. It's like, oh, awesome. So at this time, there are less than 10 available. I can't remember what the last number is, but they've been selling faster than I expected. I sent a bunch of emails out to everyone on my email list. So there's less than 10 available as of the time of me saying this right now and recording this. So check it out. Anyway, so as I was saying, I'm following the rhythm of my kick. I'm going to use C and E right off the bat to establish my chord. And then I'm going to take this pattern. I'm going to repeat it. Stretch these out a little bit. And then we'll repeat it. Oop. It's going off. And then we're going to repeat it, but this time for G minor. That. Got the 2-chord pattern. Let's just repeat it. Because ambient styles, ambient genres, as a nice little heads up, are more concerned with sound and timbre than they are with things like intricate harmony or melodies or bass lines. If you listen to ambient pieces put down for like piano, they're very, very repetitive. They lose most of their appeal when they're played on just straight piano. Largely because the vast majority of the personality comes from the morphing timbres and quality. Don't like that. Don't like that one bit. Let's just simplify this. What do we do? Doom Squirrel. Another thing that makes me sad. I was just starting to like wine, and then I found out grapes are my primary gout trigger. Ouch! That sucks. Yeah, I'm not much of a drinker myself. I love making wine, but oddly enough, I don't drink all that often. I'd recommend mead. Mead is a honey-based type wine. Stupid little beat, but I like it. it's nice to take a break. It's nice to just take a break from what I'm working on. Obviously, you guys never get like my best high quality writing here in these live streams. Especially when I'm doing in genres that I have no business doing. I am not an electronic composer by any means. I enjoy synths quite a bit. I love playing around with them. But the extent to which I use sound design is mostly just for like pads and creating stuff like for ambient tracks like this. But it's nice to take a break from my projects. Right now I'm working with a lot of choral music and a lot of traditional, like, traditional and not so traditional kind of like intricate harmonies and stuff. And that's a lot of fun, but it's good to just take a break from that and just mess around. Doom Scroll, I have to give Mead a go. I've heard of it before, but it's not mainstream, so I keep forgetting about it. Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. It's my little hobby that I make it. I like making weird wines. So, like, my family has a pizza party tomorrow. We do it once a year. I come from a big family, and so we get together once a year to just, like, make a bunch of pizzas and just have fun catching up with each other. So tomorrow, that's when we're going to be doing it, and I'm bringing, my latest batch was, like, a jalapeno strawberry with a little bit of lime and vanilla just to help, like, add a little bit of complexity and freshness. So I'm excited to bring that. But then I've got like a 5-gallon thing in the closet right there. Just of fresh mead that I started yesterday. Cause I start with like a basic mead and then I like flavor it different ways with the back sweetening. But yeah, that's just kind of a little fun stuff I do. But I think we will call it a day here, my friends. Thank you to everybody who stopped by. I apologize to everyone who was here for like the first 13 minutes and my microphone was off. I apologize. I got to get better at that. Thank you. Yes, I like it. It's definitely one of my favorites that I've made. But I think we'll call it a day here. All right, shall we? Thank you very much to everyone who stopped by. Don't forget, new textbook out, updated, 60 pages. If you already bought it, don't buy it again. You got a free copy, all right? I sent out an email to everyone who had purchased one from my website, free ebook. If you bought your copy from Amazon, reach out to me with a copy, like a picture of your receipt, and I will just send you the link where you can download the free version of the ebook. Unfortunately, I don't have the money to pay, just send to everybody physical copies because I do have to pay for like the printing when I sell them out of my website. But if you are interested, I'm selling a select few physical copies out of my own home so that you can, if you want like a dedication or like a signature or a little note, I'm happy to do that. And while supplies last, there's less than 10 of these left. These are the original first edition. I found a box in my basement from when I used to sell these before I updated it. So if you're interested, order a physical copy from my website and you'll get one of these for free tossed in as long as supplies last. Thank you very much to everybody who stopped by. I hope you enjoy your weekend, and I will see you all next week. All right, bye-bye.